How cool is that? Lorraine, thanks so much for showing us all about HoloLens. I work on Oculus Rift. And also, Sarah, that was so cool, the environment reconstruction. Our technology takes kind of similar pieces of all that and puts it together as well. So it's really cool to see it all up together. I'm Kalinowski. I am the head of product design engineering at Oculus, and I'm really proud to be here with you today. Years ago, I forgot my little clicker here. Great. Years ago, Mark Zuckerberg began inviting all Facebook employees to a weekly Q&A. Each Friday afternoon, Mark puts himself in the hot seat and gives all 16,000 employees of Facebook really honest answers to their toughest questions. When the CEO of a company this size signals that kind of transparency and trust, it makes me feel safe. Not just because I can surface questions at a Q&A and have them answered, but also because I feel like I can go directly to my leadership in my company if I have a question or even want to challenge what they're saying. The world has changed since the election. It's been really unsettling. Knowing you can trust the company you work for, not only to hear your voice, but also to answer the tough questions you have and to ask tough questions back is critical. Last week, in a letter to the public, it was Mark who surfaced the question. It was on everybody's minds. He asked, "Are we building the world we all want?" For me and so many others, the answer is easily no. But we have to remind ourselves that while the administration does not reflect the consciousness of the majority of the country, it does represent a powerful minority with a really large platform. Just one example. On the left, the overall approval rating of the current president. On the right, the Republican approval rating. How do we work with this? One Republican was polled and said, "I feel like it's Christmas every morning." I don't feel that way. But in the past, under the Republican agendas, while I didn't agree with the views, I often could understand them. That's not true for me anymore. What's also shifted, and I don't know if you feel it too, is that the workplace and certainly the tech sector are becoming politicized to an extent I've never witnessed. As we've seen in the headlines, people are judging their leaders based not on their business acumen or talent, often, but instead on how they voted. I worry that fear is driving the agendas right now instead of trust, and it's beginning to permeate our workplaces in ways that could compromise the integrity of what we're all doing. In an environment like this one, how do we lead? How do we continue to build the world that we all want? My first piece of advice on this is don't unfriend anyone. That may sound a little flip coming from a Facebook employee, but you really can lose valuable context and information when you shut people out. Monday night, I came back from a 5-day motorcycle trip in Baja. I was in Mexico with my friend Kevin. We've been riding together for years. He's a 58-year-old white guy from the Midwest. We are really different, but I love him very much. I kind of guessed he'd voted for Trump. I didn't know for sure. So I called him before the trip and I said, "So are you happy with how this is all happening, how this is all turning out?" I wanted to push him a little bit, but I also wanted to understand. He doesn't think it's perfect, but he actually is happy. On the trip, we walked the line between confrontation and conversation, and I'll be honest, we found very little common ground. I understand why Kevin's gay stepdaughter isn't talking to him right now. She's married to a woman, they have a kid, and she's hurt by what his vote means for her family. And yet her stepfather is the same person who, when I got stuck, the road was washed out in Baja, it was raining, I got stuck in the river behind this stuck RV. And he came back and he helped push my Harley out of the mud and got me to the other side. We rode together through the rain and the mud for 5 days. And this past Monday, I got off the plane like I did like I have every other time I've gone riding with Kevin, thinking, wow, I'm really excited to see where we're going to go next.
Okay, this is one of many little stream crossings that we've experienced on our Baja trip. As you can see, here's Caitlin coming by on the Harley.
Now, I don't recommend taking a Harley through Baja in rainy season, but we made it. Research has shown time and time again that positive experiences with someone we fear or dislike, or who say things that we fear or that make us uncomfortable, can result in changes of opinion. I think that's why gay marriage is legal in part, and that's why it was one of the most rapid civil rights wins in history. Everybody knows somebody who's gay, almost everybody now. We all probably know somebody who's Republican too. That wasn't supposed to be a funny line, but okay. There might be somebody in here. I think that's part of what I'm trying to say, to go off script for a second, is it's an environment right now that feels so charged that I'm really worried that we're not actually listening to each other at all. I think we owe it to ourselves to sit with this discomfort a little bit more than we have been. None of these great breakthroughs of communication come from taking the easy road. So my second piece that I want to talk about is designing for everybody. One of the greatest challenges of my career has been launching the Oculus Rift. We had to design one device that fits the 5th percentile female in size to the 95th percentile male. It's a huge difference. And we could only ship one device. It had to fit beautifully because the second you think, oh, my headset doesn't quite fit right, you're no longer at the edge of the skyscraper or being chased by the dinosaur. You're thinking about your headset. To build the Rift, over 100 engineers, project managers, and designers spent almost 2 years designing 300 parts, some of which you see here, all designed to fit seamlessly in one piece of hardware. Now, Lorraine's putting me to shame. Her animation was pretty cool, but you get the idea. Wrapped in the softest stretchable fabric, so it feels good against your face, in service of transporting you to another world. You cannot make products like that without an open design process and very strong feedback loops. Different people have to try the product. We have to get a lot of different opinions. Silos don't work. They kill the project. The same rules apply to community. As people rally around the cleansing of their boards and teams and supports of those having environments of people who think like them, as our filters get stronger and more rigid, our work can become compromised. We have to think differently to design brilliantly. So the third thing I want to say tonight, my experience, if you're successful, be as successful as humanly possible, but if you're successful, you can make a big difference. Last year, I got up here and talked about how to turbocharge your effectiveness, how to navigate office politics. I would have never imagined that this year I'd be up here talking about how to navigate actual politics. But my message to you is the same. Get insanely focused on what you're good at, what strengthens you, and do more of it. The bigger your success, the larger your platform. I want to own my mostly liberal gay views and listen to people who don't agree with them. I want to own the fact that I've been fighting for gay rights, reproductive rights, and equal opportunities for women and queers in tech, but acknowledge I haven't been good enough at fighting against socioeconomic disparity or racism. I want to keep designing the technology of the future, and I want the most talented people building it alongside me, regardless of their politics. The more successful I become, the more I play to my strengths, the stronger my positioning is. With that comes responsibility. At Facebook, we value contributions from everybody, regardless of their gender or any other status. We do not tolerate harassment, or discrimination, there are some practices and mindsets that don't belong in any office. Many of us here in this room are familiar with the types of lines being drawn over our identity, our sexuality, but never so strongly our politics. Our personal relationships are being put to the test right now. But transparency, trust, and leadership in the workplace are at stake as well. We work in the best industry in the world. We are paid to reinvent, to design the new reality. That challenge may feel as if it's gotten harder over the last few months. People are feeling over-constrained and under-inspired, like we're facing the impossible. But isn't that every engineer's dream, the seemingly impossible challenge? Design has always been messy, and now it's going to get messier. It's going to continue to get messier. My first rule of prototyping has always been to begin with the gnarliest part. It's time to suit up, get back on our bikes, and head for the mud.